It's finally here, the Z1 Extreme version of the Legion Go S SteamOS model. Now, I already did an unboxing and first impressions of the Z2 Go a couple of weeks ago. I'm still finalizing the review for that, but I'll also finally be able to compare these two in some videos as well. The Z1 Extreme against the Z2 Go. Best Buy had delayed my pre-order for a couple of weeks. It's finally here. I know the same thing happened to a lot of you guys as well out there here in the States, so hopefully they shipped yours too. The Z2 Go is still sitting at $599, originally supposed to be $499, then $550, and then on to $600. And the Z1 Extreme, the model we're looking at in this video, is now at $830. Still can't order it from Best Buy, but you can order it from the actual Lenovo website here in the United States if you do want to be able to order this up. We can talk more about pricing later in the video, but let's take a quick look at an unboxing here for this, same as the Legion Go S Z2 Go model. Typical Legion brown box that you're going to get here, and not a lot to look at. We'll open it up. Over here, we're going to have our adapter or wall charger here. I'll keep that in there. I have plenty of these around at this point. We'll set that to the side, and we'll get out the actual Legion Go S here. Before we take a look at that, of course, at the bottom, we have that good old cardboard dock that always comes with these devices in here. I always just leave that in the box, but you can set that up and use it there if you want to. So we'll put that in there, set that aside, and let's get the Legion Go S Z1 Extreme model out of the packaging here. So pretty simple. Still don't get any screen protector on these things, which always kind of bugs me. They're always kind of already a little dirty or have stuff on them or whatever, but I'd rather peel off a screen protector. But hey, it is what it is. That's the way they've been packaging these up. I noticed the Switch 2 came the same way, but overall same exact look, purple nebula color and design, and everything is identical on the outside of this device, buttons and all, just like the Z2 Go model. Now we'll go ahead and get this thing fired up for its first time. Then of course we're going to have to log into our account, set up our internet, and get on there and all of that kind of stuff. So before we get a little bit farther into it, let's take a second to look at the specs. Again, this Legion Go S SteamOS model, so running SteamOS from Valve, the Z1 Extreme with 32 gigabytes of RAM, a 1 terabyte SSD, and of course that really nice 8-inch 120Hz BRR panel here at 1200p that we have on the Z2 Go and on the MSI Claw 8 AI Plus. I really do like the screen on those. And then we have a 55.5 watt hour battery, which is going to get eaten up a good bit if you're trying to pull some performance out of that Z1 Extreme, and we can do battery test in the full review, but this is really just a quick first look and unbox here. But that's what we're working with here with this model. It's definitely a substantial upgrade over the Z2 Go performance, which falls between the Steam Deck and this. Now I have the same complaints I've always had about this design on the buttons. I just think they feel very toy-like or budget-friendly when it comes to the joysticks, the shoulder buttons, the D-pad, and just the way everything feels. The joysticks, just, I don't know. It's just the same thing on all these models, the Go S's. I'm not a big fan of the actual hardware that they used on the outside for all the buttons. Other than that, though, their cooling solution's great. It's comfortable to hold. It's pretty fun to game on, and for a lot of people, I don't think it would be a deal breaker. But for me, still just annoying, not really happy with their choice there. It just makes the device feel cheaper in my opinion. Now I'm fully updated now on the system update here, 378. We are indeed using the AMD Ryzen Z1 Extreme with 32 gigabytes of RAM. It comes with auto VRAM set automatically, which you can change in the BIOS, but it allocates 10.55. So that's what it shows up as there. And then of course our 1 terabyte of storage, which I've started putting a few games on that we can take a look at. And of course, if we hit our quick access menu, all the same stuff you'd be used to seeing on your Steam Deck, except you do get these performance profiles, low power, balanced performance, and custom, which we can take another look at in game. You do have enable VRR here, disable frame rate limit up to 120 FPS, and our TDP limit, which can go up to 40 watts handheld, it appears here, and all the way down to 5, I believe it is. So yeah, I would typically be 17 to 22 watts on the Z1 Extreme. Pretty decent on battery, pretty good performance. But being able to go 25, 30 or more is certainly useful, especially if we're in a really hard to run title. Now, comparing this to the Z2 Go model, again, these are identical design, color, buttons, everything on the outside of these. Z2 Go versus Z1 Extreme. The only way you would know the difference is because of whichever one you purchased or when you get into it and actually take a look. But yeah, they are an identical design between the two. It's just a matter of what kind of price you want to pay, 600 versus 830, what kind of performance you're looking for. These are the first officially licensed SteamOS devices from Valve, and they definitely do run better than just putting SteamOS on the ROG Ally and the Legion Go. It just happens to be a little bit more fleshed out and works better. Now in gaming, we can take a quick look at those performance profiles here. I just put it on the low power mode, which runs around 8 watts or so. It might go a little higher here or there. Of course, we're not really going to play a game like Cyberpunk that way, but I want to go through these. And then bounced, I believe, usually settles around 13 to 15 watts. For the Z1 Extreme with the higher TDP, I'd really rather this been more like a 17 to 20 watt on performance, because when we actually do go in and put this on performance mode, it jumps all the way up to 30, although I have seen it settle down to 25 and then bounce between 25 and 30 on performance. That's kind of what I've been seeing, at least in the first 3-4 games I've been checking out with it here. But at least they do have some pretty decent performance profiles. Plus, with custom already built in, you can use that slider and set the TDP anywhere that you want to, making it nice depending on what kind of game you're playing. You want to get more battery life or more performance. You do have that control here, and it seems to work fine off the bat. So I'm really happy with that. When we get into the full review of this thing, I'll test all that stuff out more in more games, and we can get more into that and that type of thing. So yeah, not too bad overall. Moving around in Cyberpunk, I thought it was pretty good. We're running basically medium low, mostly medium settings here with some FSR. So 800p, you could do 1200p, but it does come down quite a bit. You lose about 20 FPS typically, unless you really get aggressive with the upscaling, or maybe use some frame generation, which is another option here. Again, all things we can look at more when I get into the full review. Now the DLC area here, or Dogtown area, is notorious for being much harder to run than the rest of the game, the main game. So that's always something to be aware of too. You often are running 10 to 30 FPS lower and with more frame time issues when you get into Dogtown. That's just the case with all the handhelds and all the different hardware out there. It's always been. Into Spider-Man, I left things at 1200p medium preset with high textures, just taking a look and seeing what it would do here. Running on, I believe I had the performance preset turned on here, which it kept running around 22 to 25 watts. It was actually one of the lower ones in game that I saw. Probably another one that I would want to get more aggressive with the upscaling, maybe lower some settings or even use 800p on the screen, but definitely running the way I would expect the Z1 Extreme to run the game, and with no problems here on SteamOS. Now, Doom: The Dark Ages is a game I've had a blast playing, and I've played it a lot on the Z1 Extremes, and performance here on SteamOS was really good. It was really smooth, and it's what I expected to see from this kind of wattage being thrown at the Z1 Extreme here. So yeah, again, a game that didn't have any problems for me. Just checked out these 3 off the bat to see how it was, and they were running as expected, running very good actually. And I'm sure when I compare to Windows, running better than there. I know Cyberpunk runs way better on SteamOS. But all in all, being a Z1 Extreme model, it is a bit pricey at that $830 when there's so many other Z1 Extreme models out there. However, I do know, you do get to 32 gigabytes of RAM here, 1 terabyte of SSD and all of that, but the overall feel of the device for me personally, like the buttons and everything I was talking about earlier, does make it feel like a more budget-friendly device, fitting the Z2 Go a little better. And when we get into this price range, I only paid $70 more for my MSI Claw or for the Ally X, which I know has a smaller screen, but the hardware on that, the joysticks, the triggers, everything are just so much better. So that's just something to be aware of when you're shopping around. But when we get into the real review for this thing, I'll do some comparing to the Ally X and the other devices and show you a little bit more about what I'm talking about there. But overall though, a pretty nice feeling device. I haven't been able to complain about like general feel and the ergonomics of the Legion Go S. Any of the models I've tried, they're all great. They're all basically the same. And SteamOS on this with the Z2 Go, but especially with the Z1 Extreme, is definitely running games much better as far as I can tell, and less stuttery and janky than what I get in some of them on Windows, but that stuff we can look at more down the road too. So at least this is finally out. It seems to be shipping. However, you can't order it on Best Buy right now. You can order it on their official site. So if you are looking to get a hold of one, start looking around. They do seem to be starting to ship here in the States. But anyways, this was just a first look unboxing. Wanted to take a look at this thing. Finally got it here. I'll be comparing it to the Z2 Go model and other devices and getting a full review ready for this as well. Anyways, guys, as always, thanks a lot for coming and check out the video. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next one.